Welcome to today's webinar. This webinar will be recorded. You will receive the link via the email that you used to register after the presentation's over. The purpose of this webinar is to introduce informalscience.org to the aquarium and zoo community and to share resources that can be used by all of you going forward. This is the first webinar that CAISE has done since redesigning the website last year. We will be sharing how to use and how to contribute to the site. Today's presenters and webinar organizers are Jamie Bell, the CAISE Project Director, and CAISE staff, Grace Troxel and Ashley Gary. If you would like to ask a question, please type it into the question box. We will answer some questions throughout the presentation, and we'll also leave time for questions at the end. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask. If we don't get to your question during the webinar, or you can think of something after the webinar has ended, please reach out to us via email at case@informalscience.org. There is also a handout that can be downloaded through the webinar platform that will include some of the links that we're talking about today. Let's go over the agenda briefly. First, we're going to provide a high-level overview of informalscience.org. Then we're going to show how to navigate the site to answer a specific question while working on a project. Next, we will dive into landing pages on the site related to projects, research, and evaluation. And we will show you a new Zoos and Aquariums landing page. Then we will end with some time for questions.
This is Jamie Bell, the Project Director of CAISE, Center for Advancing Informal STEM Learning. I would just like to say welcome and thank you for joining us on this first webinar for the Zoos and Aquaria community, a very important sector of the informal STEM learning ecosystem. We're a resource center funded out of the Division of Research on Formal and Informal Learning in the EHR Directorate at the National Science Foundation. We serve the advancing informal STEM learning PIs and projects, but also the wider field, which we hope to build and strengthen through providing resources, products, and connectivity through activities like this webinar. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to your questions and comments. We're going to continue now with a video that we've created for those outside the field to get a little bit more oriented to the scope of informal STEM learning and the value therein.
Okay, now let's move on to the website. What is informalscience.org? The informalscience.org database contains project, research, and evaluation resources designed to support the informal STEM learning community. It was intended to be a central place where people can go to find information when preparing grant proposals, developing new programs, conducting literature reviews, or learning about trends in different parts of the field. What can you find on the site? The database contains a wealth of materials, which are divided into three main types: projects, research, and evaluation. Project descriptions are abstracts of awards that have been funded by federal agencies or other institutions. While many are from the NSF ASIL program, we also have projects on the site that are funded by NASA, NIH, IMLS, and others. You can look at descriptions of past awards to see what they have produced, or you can look at current awards to get an idea of the cutting edge. Next, we have research and reference materials. These include peer-reviewed articles, but they also include gray literature like reports and conference proceedings, dissertations, thesis work, and more. Then we have evaluation reports. These reports also include any instruments that are embedded in them. All of the resources on the site are organized by a series of tags in order to make them more easily searchable. These tags include resource type, access and inclusion, audience, discipline, learning environment, and more. Let's take a look at the search. We'll start by performing a sample search. Let's say that we're looking for resources about conservation education. Let's do a keyword search using the term conservation. If you want to look for a specific type of resource, for example, evaluation, you can select one of the filters using these buttons. But for now, let's keep it simple and search across everything. As you can see, there are approximately 237 search results for conservation. Underneath each search result, you can see the date, the resource type, and the first part of the abstract. Let's click on one of these results. How about the iSave Species Summative Evaluation Report? Once you click on a search result, you'll see a detail page. This page provides additional information about the resource, including all of the different filters that it's tagged with. There's also information about funding and the report's abstract. And there's a link to the document at the bottom. On the right side of the page, you'll see team members. This can include authors and evaluators, as well as roles like principal investigator or project manager. And if the person is a registered site user, you will see a link to their profile. Let's take a look at Joe Heimlich's profile. Profile pages include information about site members, including where they work and their contact information. So if you click on Email Joe Heimlich, you can contact him directly. You can also see a list of all of the resources that Joe has participated in. He's been involved with a lot. The icons next to each resource tell you what kind of resource it is. Projects that have the little building block, projects are the ones with the little building block. Research and reference materials have the little book, and evaluation has the clipboard. Now let's navigate back to the iSave Species page. At the very bottom of the page, you can see if the resource is connected to any others in the collection. For example, this evaluation report was produced as part of the Saving Species project. Let's go to the project page. When we click on that, we see another detail page that describes the project. And then at the bottom of the page, we can see all of the different products that it's produced. One of the really neat things about the site is the ability to see the connections between people and resources. Okay, let's go back to the search results page. So, whenever we did our search for conservation education, we got 237 results. But let's say that we're actually only concerned with results that involve kids or projects that have targeted kids. We can use the filters on the left sidebar to further refine our search. If we move down to the audience filter and open that up, and then we select middle school children, we can drill down a little bit and find things that are a bit more specific. Remember that the more filters you select, the fewer results that you'll get. And if you want to unselect a term, you can look at this current search box in the left-hand corner and you can click on the X next to the term. Let's go back to the home page. One new feature that we recently implemented is the advanced search. When you click on advanced search, you'll see many of the same different filters that we just looked at. Let's say, for example, that we're doing another search. Let's say you're applying for an NSF grant and you want to see what kind of zoo and aquarium programs NSF has funded in the past. We can do that by going into the Learning Environment menu, and then let's scroll down to Aquarium and Zoo Programs. And then we'll go into the Funding menu and select NSF and hit Go. And you'll see that there are around 34 of those programs in the collection. Let's pause for a moment and take any questions related to the search. Do we have any questions? Okay, let's move along then. And we'll go back to the home page. In addition to the database, CAISE has developed a number of landing pages to explore different areas of interest to the field. These include the Develop Projects landing pages, the Discover Research landing pages, and the Design Evaluation landing pages. Let's start with Develop Projects. This section of the site provides information about the process of finding funding, developing a project, and disseminating your work. And you can see all of those same headings in this bottom left corner. Bottom right corner. Let's take a look at these menus, and let's go down to Learn from Experience. This one. Under the Learn from Experience section, you can find links of things that have already been funded. And if we go to the very bottom of this page, there is a link to the new Zoo and Aquarium landing page. This page is meant to orient zoo and aquarium educators to the website and to provide some curated examples of projects, research, and evaluation. And let's scroll down and let you take a look at that. And this page also provides links to other relevant associations and networks. There's a link to this page in the handout that's attached to this webinar. This landing page just launched this week. We welcome any suggestions and feedback about it that you might have. The page is designed specifically for this community, and we want to make it as good as possible. You can reach out to us using our email, caise@informalscience.org. Now let's move over to the Discover Research section. Let's click on it. This group of pages is meant to outline what research looks like in informal STEM education. It explains the difference between research and evaluation, and as with the other page, there are in the bottom right corner links to all of the different subpages. Let's take a look at what are the important gaps in informal STEM education research. This page lists some areas of interest to the field where current research is being conducted. And at the bottom of the page, there's also a link to a page with research agendas, including AZA's research agenda, which is right here. Here's the AZA research agenda. And also in the research menu, let's go down to Access Peer-Reviewed Literature. This link will take you to EBSCO's Education Research Complete database. All logged-in members of informalscience.org can access EBSCO for free. This is especially great for people in the field who want to see more learning research, but who don't have access to a university account. EBSCO contains thousands of journals and articles from the education world, and there's a wealth of information there that you should definitely take advantage of.
If any of you are conducting or involved in any research that is building on the AZA Conservation Education Committee framework, we would love to know about it and be able to link to it or include a project description or at some point perhaps a spotlight to highlight some of the various types of research questions that we know are being drawn from and build on the AZA framework. So that's just something to be in touch with us about in the future.
Now let's move on to design evaluation. How familiar are all of you with the evaluation process? Let's do a poll. And we'll give you a minute or so to answer. You can go ahead and click one of the options that appears on your screen. Okay, it looks like most of you voted. And it seems like most of you are either, oh, let's share the results. There we go. It looks like most of you are either very familiar or somewhat familiar with the evaluation process. Evaluation is a set of approaches and techniques used to make judgments and decisions about the quality of a program or an intervention. It can be used to guide a project, suggest how it might be improved, and provide evidence to demonstrate whether it worked as intended. The biggest difference between research and evaluation is that evaluation is primarily used to study the effectiveness of a specific program or project, whereas research is designed to study broader and more generalizable phenomena. The evaluation landing pages on the site, let's go to those. Here they are. The evaluation landing pages on the site provide a walkthrough of this process. The pages are geared towards non-evaluators, but instead to people who are new to evaluation, want to learn more about it, or a little bit familiar with evaluation and wanting to reference different handbooks and shortcuts to tools that they can use. On the Design Evaluation landing page, you'll see a brief overview of what evaluation is, along with some links and resources. For example, under Want to Learn More About Evaluation, you'll find a link to the Principal Investigator's Guide. Let's open that up. There we go. The Principal Investigator's Guide to Managing Evaluation in Informal STEM Education Projects. This guide was developed by CAISE in partnership with the Visitors Studies Association, or VSA, in 2012 in order to introduce PIs to the evaluation process and to walk them through it. And if we scroll down, we can see the different chapters as well as the editors. Now let's go back to the evaluation pages and go to developing an evaluation plan. This page includes a bunch of different handbooks and checklists that you can use and reference throughout the evaluation process. And as you scroll down the page, there are also links to some resources that we have for working with institutional review boards and navigating that process. Now let's go to the evaluation kits and toolkit, the evaluation tools and instruments page. This page is an introduction to evaluation instruments, and it provides links to different websites where you can find those instruments. For example, Assessment Tools in Informal Science, or ATIS, that's located at Harvard University. And we'll be taking more questions in a moment, so go ahead and ask away if you have any. Now that we've walked through the site a little bit and taken a look at what's there, let's talk more about how all of you can get involved. The easiest way to get involved with the site is to join. It's free. And as we mentioned, members of the site have access to EBSCO's Education Research Complete database. When you join the site, you'll be asked a couple questions about your interest and expertise in the field. These questions are used to help populate the site's member directory. You can find the member directory under the Community section of the site. Let's go to the Community landing page. And then the link to the member directory is in the middle of that page in orange. Okay, so this is the member directory. Much like the collection, you can search the member directory to find potential collaborators. Let's do a sample search there. Say, for instance, I'm working on a project in California, and I would like to find some evaluators near me. First, you would go to the institution type filter, and then we'll select Research and Evaluation Organizations. Then we'll go to the country filter, and we'll open that up. And we'll select United States. Once these search results populate, you can see that the country filter has been replaced by one that says state. Now let's open that one up too and select California. And then now you'll see a list of all of the site members who have tagged themselves when they signed up or when they've gone in to edit their profile as being at research and evaluation organizations in California. Another way to stay up to date with what's going on with CAISE and with a field is to sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter sign up is located at the very bottom of the website in the right-hand corner, and you can just add your email address there. Our newsletter is monthly, and we don't send any other communication through our list really, so it's just a once-a-month email and not spammy. Articles that appear in the newsletter also appear on our blog. And you can find the blog by clicking on News and Views in the very top navigation bar. When you click on News and Views, you can see the most recent blog posts. You can also filter these blog posts by category, which are located on the right-hand sidebar. For example, you can select evaluation or resources or funding. Funding's always popular. You can also use the site's calendar to stay up to date about events in the field. Let's click on Calendar. That's right next to News and Views and Community at the top of the screen. The calendar includes a variety of events, including conferences, workshops, webinars, and funding deadlines. If you're hosting an event that you would like us to include on the calendar, please reach out to us, and we would be happy to list it. One other very, very important way to be involved with the site is to contribute your own resources. You can do this using the bright orange Submit Resources button that's found on the top right corner of the website. This will help you showcase your own work, and it will help others learn from your experiences and build on them. The more the community contributes resources, the more useful the site will be, and the stronger the field will become. We would especially love to see more zoo and aquarium research and evaluation in the collection. Now let's take some questions. Let's start with a question from Chuck Lennox. Are you planning on developing other website sections or pages for other subgroups in informal science education? For example, recreation programs, day camps, etc. Yes, we are. The first two landing pages that we started with were library programs and zoos and aquariums. And we're definitely interested in doing more of these and in building out these landing pages to be as useful as possible.
Right, so if you have some suggestions for our sectors or subsectors of the field that you think would warrant a landing page with critical mass of resources and links, please let us know via CAISE@informalscience.org. Thank you, Chuck.
And let's see, here's one more. Do you have criteria for submitting research and/or evaluation reports? In general, we accept most research and evaluation reports as long as they fit within the site's metadata framework. So as long as it fits within the system of tags and we have enough information about it, for example, that we know it's coming from a person and we know that it's produced by an organization, but we don't make any quality judgments about resources that are submitted. Instead, we just rely on our tags and let people sift through on their own. Whenever something's submitted to the website, I do take a look at it before it goes to the live site, and I make sure that it's tagged correctly and that it's linked up to any resources it's related to and to your profile page if you're a site member, and so forth. Next question. Does CAISE have any resources available for finding or working with IRBs, for those of us not affiliated with university IRBs?
Yes, in fact, we can go to that. Right?
Yeah.
We have a series of articles that were developed by Andy Rubin at Turk on working with IRBs in informal settings. We'll show you that page, and that has information about working your way through the process when you're doing research or evaluation in an informal setting, and that's on the screen now.
Yeah, and you can find these under the Developing an Evaluation Plan page underneath Design Evaluation. And one more question. Have you used evaluation to help inform the website? We have used evaluation to help inform the website. This summer we did a user study of the website that included online surveys of around 800 people and web analytics, and then task-based interviews with about 25 different people. And we used our findings from that user study to inform our most recent round of design changes.
And that report is actually posted on the website?
Yes, it is.
You can find it as along with an infographic that summarizes some of the findings that have informed our development process.
And I can show you how to search for it. If we look up informalscience.org user study, we can find that. And we can find, one moment for it to load. We can find both the infographic and the full report. And those are the top two results. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, then we can wrap up the webinar. Thank you all for joining us today. And afterwards, you'll receive a recording of the presentation. You'll also receive an evaluation form. Please fill it out to help us improve future webinars. We'll keep it short. And if you have any additional questions, please contact us at CAISE@informalscience.org.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Grace Troxel, our digital librarian, who led this webinar today, to my co-PI, Kevin Crowley, who's on the webinar as well, and Ashley Gary, who helped prepare it. And again, if you have further questions, comments, or suggestions, we most welcome them at the CAISE@informalscience.org email. Thank you and have a great day.